Hello and welcome to the Growing Green podcast. Your host, Jeremiah Jennings, is the owner of Growing Green Landscapes in Birmingham, Alabama, and has a passion for growing the entrepreneurship community for those who are young in business. Being a business owner isn't easy, especially in the early years, and that's why in this show we dive into a wide range of topics covering all the challenges small business owners deal with. Even if your company is generating $1 million or more, the stories from our great guest and Jeremiah's own firsthand experiences will propel your business forward. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Jennings.
Sam doesn't need much of an introduction. He owns Etch Outdoor. You've seen him around the social media space the last couple of years. His company's exploding. He's doing it in a market with big players, big competitors, and Perfect Cut. He's got brilliant boarders right there with him with Leroy. So he's doing it not just some little back hill town with no competition. He's doing it out there with the big dogs. And I look up to Sam, look up to his company, appreciate his friendship and his time spending with us today. Guys, take notes, take away as much value as you can from this. Be thankful for these guys' time coming and spending time with us for a day. Like it's not to go unthanked because they could be in a lot of different places doing a lot of different things. So, Sam, I appreciate you, buddy. I appreciate you getting in here, cutting up. This is your show. Take it and run with it. We'll open up for Q&A at the end whenever you want to, but this is your thing, buddy.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it. A lot of guys that I've gotten to know on here. So super excited for that. I'm going to share my screen, desktop there. All right. The favorite question when editing webinar, can everybody see my screen? Thumbs up if you can, please.
But on my side.
All right, good. So hello, Sam Rankin, Etch Outdoor Living. Started, the same way a lot of you guys did, that either side hustle or started when you were young, just cutting grass for some cash and wanted to jump into it for that reason. So super excited to be here. These are always fun because I was on the flip side and actually still am on a lot of these webinars. I am taking in as much content information as I can in order to serve our team. My speaking today, a lot around culture and accountability. I will answer any other questions that you guys have. There is no there's no things that we're going to hide here. It's an industry that's been around for forever. I was just talking to a couple of guys from Land Care, which is a several hundred, I think they're like $400 or $500 million company. And I'm going to go out and see their stuff. Same thing. They said there are no secrets. There's nothing to hide at the end of the day. We can all take care of clients better. We can all take care of our people better. We can all do things just kind of that one step better to elevate our industry. So, biggest thing I have is certainly get the most from today. I sit on these both paid and there's a ton of free ones on certain specific topics. I am as guilty as you probably are. Put the phone down, take the notes. You guys certainly spent money on this and I want to make sure that it lands as best as possible. And so, eliminate the distractions, pretend it's an in-person event, get the team away from you if you can, or if you're at home, have a space where you can actually do that. I'm going to say things that you're going to disagree with today. I promise that's okay. It doesn't mean I might be dumb, but, just, take bits and pieces. There's going to be little nuggets of information, and that's the best way that I've found to learn is just taking those little spots. Most of all, a mentor of mine told me this very early on. If I'm doing this for me, you guys will see right through it. And the last thing that I want to be, or any of us frankly want to be, is a fraud. If you want detail, I will gladly provide as much as you can. The more questions, the better, because I will talk on a tangent for a good while. If you guys have questions or something you guys want to dig a little bit deeper into, if you have a specific question, our team is all right outside my office. And if I don't have the right answer, I will bring them in on this right now, and I will have them answer a question for me. If you don't believe it, just try me. Our designers are right outside and our account management production folks are downstairs. So if anybody has specific stuff, just holler. Put together the things that I feel are important today. 4 years ago, we were trying to claw and scratch our way to $1 million. There are things that I'm probably missing today, but if there are specifics, I'm happy to. And then the last thing is that if you ask me a question, I do a little bit of coaching, not much. I enjoy it, but it's not a priority for me. I'm going to treat the question as if it was my own business. So it might be a little bit harsh, a little bit blunt, but there's a lot of crappy consulting that they just ask questions to try to get you to come to the answer. I'm just going to flat out tell you what I think. So a couple things I talked about. Forgot to go to the next slide. Culture and accountability. That's what I'm here to talk about. This is an opportunity in 2025 specifically. There's a lot of people talking about what the macroeconomic environment looks like, and it's incredibly positive. Last year we had a pretty flat year. We just weren't nimble enough. We didn't make those small changes. We added overhead but didn't grow, and so we had a little bit more challenging of a year. And I would guess that is echoed probably by most of us, that we didn't grow maybe the way we wanted to. And so we've got big plans this year. Our goal is to go from 4.5 up to about 7.3 million. It looks really scary, but if we would have hit our budget this year, that's not that much growth. It would have been closer to like 15 to 20% growth. And instead now it's closer to that 40-50% growth. And so it looks incredible, but in reality, when we break it down to where we should have been this year, it's not. Our goal, first and foremost, is to stand out in our local market, whether that's as an employer, whether that's as a service provider, or just as a friend. You got Leroy in here. I would assume that's Leroy from Brilliant Borders, who is a neighbor of mine. He actually still owes me lunch because he took a snow property from us this year. So I'm excited for that. I'm going to get a good steak from him. But there's neighbors in your market that I would hope that you guys treat as friends, not as just competitors. Like Jeremiah kind of talked about, if you guys have followed us at all on social media for the last couple of years, we've really tried to move and shake. The one thing that I try to always put out on our content is that culture, that accountability, that team morale that we expect from our team. Where our past might just be a little bit different is I've realized that is the biggest and frankly, one of the only focuses we should have as leaders. The span of control that each of you guys have, including myself, is only so much. I think there's studies out there, and I think the number is like 5 to 7 is realistically the number of people one person can manage. Well, we've got, give or take here, 45 individuals. I simply can't manage everybody. And if I can't, then who will? And the next our production managers, well, they've each got, give or take, about 15 to 20 under them. There's no way that they can manage everybody. Their span of control is also only so large. And so it boils down to that who are you when nobody's watching type of mentality and mindset. Because if you don't have that, the business is just going to crumble from the bottom. If you're, call it up here, and you have other team members down here, if you're unable to continue to influence all the way up and down that tree, your root system is going to crumble, and eventually everything is just going to come piling down. Talk a little bit about who we are. Sam Rankin, Etch Outdoor Living. As I mentioned, I started business in 2018 as Ankeny Lawn and Landscapes. It was a simple who you are and what you do. So Ankeny is the town that we serviced. Lawn and Landscapes is what we did. That transitioned about 2.5 years ago to Etch Outdoor Living. We wanted to create a unique kind of luxury type brand around what we did, a differentiator in our market. We've got a lot of companies in our market that are, block letters, green, just dated branding. And so it was a priority for us to create something unique, something different. And I think we've done a really good job with that. At the bottom there, one of our newest service offerings for this year, we're spinning off a small brand to target that perimeter pest control market and continue to grow. That is the first rendition of our branding. I don't know if that's going to stick yet, but something a little bit different, a little more family friendly for the home services. We are at Etch about 35% maintenance, 21% snow, 37% design build, 7% enhancements. Like I said, about 4.5 million this year. So right at about $1 million in snow, approximately. The big reason I want to introduce that yard line is because I'm going back to square one, and kind of taking a step behind you guys. So all of you guys have businesses, have brands that are already established. In taking this new venture on, I'm really excited because it's going to allow, opportunities on podcasts or anything like that for me to talk about what it feels like going back and starting over. There's 0 employees, 0 website, 0 clients, 0 software. We haven't even picked a software yet. We're not going to run it out of Aspire or LMN, probably something a little bit different. And so I'm really excited to be able to take my own advice, frankly, but also take the advice from a lot of people that I've learned from throughout our industry on how we can do things better and start with just a fresh 0 plate. I'll stop quick. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer now? Daniel's got one. What amount of 44 employees are in the field completing projects for the office? So out of employee headcount, 11 in the office and then 33 in the field, about a 3-to-1 ratio. We're working this year to get that closer to 4-to-1 ratio. I think that 4.5 to 1 range is where you really start to see things be profitable, provided you're hitting budgeted hours and estimating things correctly. But if you are closer to that 2.5 to 3-to-1 range, that's where I've identified that it's break even at best. Anybody have anything else before we keep trudging? Good. Okay. We start each of our meetings with our core values, mission, vision statements. So core values here and
before you roll, I think
yeah.
Go through one in there right as you ended that.
Oh, can you explain the hierarchy of the company? Yes. So I'm at the top and the bottom. So I work for everybody, and yes, technically everybody works for me, but I don't like to look at that. Our business is separated into 3 parts: sales, operations, finance, and admin. If you simplify a business down to its 3 parts, great book on this is Traction by Gino Wickman. You sell the work, you do the work, and you build the work. So on the sales side, I lead our sales team. That is 2 business development reps from 2 business development reps on the maintenance side, 2 designer sales reps on the construction side, and then a design associate that supports those 2 design and sales reps. On the production side, we split, and you've got your construction operations and your maintenance operations. And then for snow, obviously everybody comes together, all hands on deck. We are split in our snow. We've got our 2 production managers to basically split the town. We've got, our main market is 1 production manager, and then everything else is another. And below them, they've got area managers that help them be extra eyes throughout. On the HR admin side, we've got 2. We've got our controller, Krista, who she's been doing our books for basically since the beginning. And then we've got underneath her, our office admin, Amanda. She does all of our HR hiring, leads our 2-day onboarding process for new hires, and then also works on all of the offboarding that we do, whether that's a seasonal layoff or a termination or separation. So hopefully that makes sense. Good. You good, Jeremiah? Perfect. So start all of our meetings with our core values, mission, vision statements. Don't hesitate to take a screenshot with your phone or on your computer. Don't care. Our core values are very, very simple: positive can-do attitude, reliable and accountable, customer-centric, honest and ethical with integrity, and ambitious go-getters. These are the 5 things we've identified for people who are going to be successful at Etch. The positive can-do attitude and the ambitious go-getters are the two that we are looking for specifically in our HR. In that process, if those people if we identify those two core values, chances are great they're going to be an awesome fit with our team. The other three are obviously very important, but if we have somebody who's going to show up with a smile and hey, let's get it done, and also somebody that wants to continue to grow and excel here, we've identified that they're going to be an excellent fit in this company. They're going to help continue to move the needle here. They're going to continue to scale and grow with us. And so we can promote them into higher, better paying jobs. That's something that we are really excited about, really passionate about. Our mission is to create and maintain beautiful outdoor spaces with tailored service solutions to ensure long-term value and client satisfaction. Your mission statement is what you do. This is the things that we're doing every single day and the words that we live by. Our vision is where we want to go, and that's to set the standard of excellence in the green industry for creativity, attention to detail, and high quality results through a passionate, well-trained team. If you notice in there, we include a comment about our team, passionate and well-trained. We want those people that want to see the work through. That's incredibly important in my opinion. If this is only about you, you are going to have problems. So I forgot to delete that slide. I apologize. At the end of the day, accountability is best described, as I mentioned, positive can-do attitudes, ambitious go-getters. And as we look to disrupt the marketplace, we have a duty to be truly excellent. And really by focusing on those two things, we have a team of people that are constantly growing. As you can see, here's our snow production, or our snow rodeo, as we call it. So this is where we were doing our snow training, but we did several games. We did several games. We did a couple competitions. We sat and we kind of talked about why we do what we do, what the greater impact is on the business, the financial impact on the business of a great snow season versus a poor snow season. And we just really educated our team through and through. The one thing we identified early on, I hate the Employee of the Month award. I think it's the dumbest thing ever. I just think it's dated, it's old fashioned. It's not who Etch really is. So instead, we have what I call a culture champion. So it's somebody that is identified by the previous winner as somebody who exemplifies our core values. In the snow rodeo, this was somebody that was bought in, somebody that was teaching other people, somebody that was helping push and grow our culture, somebody that was, hey, I think you need to pay attention a little bit better. Hey, I think we can do better on this. Here's how I do it, and here's how I'd recommend you do it. Somebody that was an extension, frankly, of me. Somebody that was continuing to push and grow. We give them a $25 gift card to the local gas station. Hopefully they don't use that during working hours. Chances are good they might. But they also get the belt. And yes, it is a WWE belt, but we turn it upside down and it's an M for monthly culture champion. And so Jenna here, she will get to pick the next culture champion. And we do that every single month. And so it's an exciting belt that travels. And the one step further that we're going to do is we're actually going to put a parking spot out front. And so they have a dedicated best parking spot every single day. And continuing, again, if you guys have questions, just pop them in. Continuing to kind of push on that. So last year about this time, I took our entire team to an industry learning event for the first time. We spent 3 days deep diving into various parts of the businesses, various breakout sessions, and everything from selling enhancements and upsells to how do we prospect better? How does everybody be a salesperson? Going into those various business segments, and it allowed our team to be cross-trained better, and really just took a ton, but also we came away with kind of a new energy, an excited kind of growing energy that was something that I hadn't really seen before. And I think I shouldn't say I know it's still here. I still get comments on it. I've got a list of people that want to go back this year, and so I've got a group of team members that it's no longer me just kind of pulling the rope, but instead I've got more people behind me making that tug of war a little bit easier. One of the things that I didn't expect was I had a group of people that now were kind of challenging the way that I thought. They were professionally questioning me and asking, well, why do you think we should do that? Why is culture important? Why this? Why that? It's like that 3-year-old kid that his new favorite question is why. And it made me step back and think a heck of a lot more about this business. It really empowered our team to continue to push, to continue to push the envelope of what it means to care about our team, to care about our clients or properties, or how are we evaluating, are we doing a good job? Now, I can translate this to you and give you a couple ways that you guys can start, and start very simply. I don't know if we have anybody here that is a reader, but it's one of the things that I really enjoy. Buy this book, Winning with Accountability. It's only like 50, 60 pages. Even Josh Sutton can read this book. So it's I knew I'd get a smile out of that. It's a simple book. It's $15. I just took this screenshot right before I jumped on here. It could be here tonight, and you could probably have it read before you go to bed tonight. Very, very simple. It talks about the language of accountability. It's a simple one. Unfortunately, it does have some diagrams, Josh. So you're good there. A lot of little call outs. It's not quite cat in the hat, but it is about that simple. And it's actually a good story. I don't like those dry books that have no storyline with them. But it had our whole team read it. We broke it up into 3 sections and we read it over 3 weeks. So anybody who's in our office, they were required to read it, and I could kind of figure out who did and didn't read it. And it added another level of seriousness to our one-on-ones, because if somebody won't read a book about accountability, is that person really the right fit to work here? It's only $15. Like I said, you can buy it for your whole team. I'm pretty frugal myself, but it was a definitely worth sending out to our entire team. The big difference, we now have changed our language. Our culture just doesn't allow us to be saying those wishy-washy things. We're not saying, I'll try to have this to you by the end of the day, or I'll try to get that done sometime, or should have that to you next week. Instead, it's very simple changes. But end of day, what is end of day? Like you guys, I probably, end of day to me is 8, 9, 10, 11, midnight is the end of day. So instead it's, hey, I'll have that to you by 4 p.m. I'll have that to you today by 4 o'clock. Or you'll have that in your email by the time you get to the office on Friday. That means I have all night Thursday to work on it if I need to. Or instead of, I should have some time next week, it's, I will work on that on Monday next week. Being very specific with your language and your word choice, being delicate and thoughtful, and making sure that whatever you say, you can be held accountable to. Because now it's very easy, and unfortunately, I get this from our team, is you said you'd have that to me by 4 o'clock and it's 4:15. Is that getting done today or not? And it's now a team holding me accountable instead of just the other way around. We've bred that culture here where I am equal to everybody else here. I am not above everybody else at all. I am expected to be held to the same level of expectations. Because frankly, if the rules are for thee and not for we, then you're turning this into a dictatorship. You're not turning this into what it really should be, which is group or a team. So where and how do we start? This picture does not apply. I just thought it was a funny picture. This was the first big project we ever did. It turned out to be like a $400,000 project. And I asked to be sitting in the bucket. So it's kind of fun. But accountability, first and foremost, it starts with you. It starts with those people that are on this call. It starts with the leaders. A great example of this, we expect our vehicles to be free of trash and debris, washed, well taken care of, no dents or dings. If I asked you guys, what does the inside of your truck look like right now? Would you let your team go open the door? But at the same time, and I appreciate the people with the cameras on, y'all are up shaking your heads and saying no. But at the same time, we go open our truck doors and then we send a group text of, why aren't these trucks clean? Right? So we're making rules for thee and not for we. And I'm guilty. My truck right now does not look great. But it's we're holding others accountable in, frankly, is that truly fair? Is that right? That we're able to, you know, as I say in the Bible, we're casting rocks at others, but yet we're not looking inward first. We expect our team to show up on time every single day. Are you held to those exact same standards? What's your start time? I get to the office by, you know, X or Y. You know, today I showed up late. I was here about 7:15, and while I don't help run production, my expectation for myself is I get here at 7 o'clock. I was late. And I told our team, I'm sorry, I was late. But I held myself accountable. I said it out loud. And I told them, hey, I messed up. We expect our team to show up every day in uniform. What's your uniform? Do you show up every single day? The only two people in our office that wear hats are production managers because they're out in the field more often than they're in the office. I've worn a hat to this office I wore a hat to the office one time the last year. It's a simple thing of getting up, shaving your face, doing your hair, and looking the part too. Culture is not just about a set of rules, but culture is about doing the right thing over and over and over. Nobody's watching you, and that's okay. But they are. I guarantee you that team is watching you. So again, we set the rules for thee and not for we. That's where we get to have a really big problem. Culture is an everyday thing. Your key leaders, your right-hand man, you know, there's always going to be somebody you can find that wants to take that next step. Have them help you. If they see something, they're not being a tattletale. They're not being anything like that. But when I talk about the span of control only being so large, just tell them, hey, if you see something, just say something to them or let me know. You can't take a break on culture no matter how bad you want to. I don't care how tired you are. I don't care, you know, how busy or stressed you are. At the end of the day, culture is an everyday choice. If you're like me, this is not a White Claw. Grab yourself a Kirkland cold brew from Costco. It's 200 milligrams of caffeine, no sugars, no nothing like that. Go right to your dome, and it gives you that pep in the step in the morning. You have to come in with that smile on your face. What you allow, you encourage. As I mentioned, it starts with us. It starts with us as leaders. You know, I've sent people home, even when it pisses off our production manager for showing up late or not showing up in uniform. At the end of the day, at some point, you have to put your foot down, send a message, and tell them this is just not the way we do things here. Our manager complained about it. He was going to throw off production schedule. And I said, that's fine. I frankly don't care. And eventually in our leadership meetings, you know, we kind of talked about it, and he realized and he understood, and he got behind the message and said, you're right. Like, we do things differently here for a reason. And if we're not going to hold people accountable, then who are we, or what are we doing? The first kind of big instance I remember about culture, and a little story time, take you back to the high school days, which 10 years ago now feels like a hell of a long time. It's not for some people, but I truly remember this instinct. And it's one of the guys in this picture. I'm not going to call him out. You can probably see him. He's second from the left. That a complete cancer. I left home in high school to play hockey in Denver, Colorado. The guy second from the left, his name's Hootie. Got to be really good friends with him. But was a complete cancer when he walked in the doors that day. He got moved over from another team, and he was just incredibly selfish. We use the term cancer because cancer spread. If you allow that rule breaker to continue to influence others and think it's cool, now you've got a bigger problem that grows. And so what do you do with cancer? You cut it out. You can either fire that person or you can change it. In a hockey team, unfortunately, you can't really cut them out. So we changed it. We continued to do the we things. We all showed up on time. We made a point to call him out when he was late. We continued to kind of push that envelope. Day after day, the small wins were there. Started showing up on time. Started wearing a shirt and tie like you're supposed to instead of just a t-shirt under a suit coat. He started doing the little things to become part of the team. And it's those little wins. They're going to happen in front of your eyes, and they're going to be so small that you're probably going to never notice them. But if you take a step back and maybe take a picture, or you write down some notes from today, and you implement these little wins, there's going to be a huge change come October. It's going to be a huge difference. It's not going to be overnight. If you think that, unfortunately, you're going to be very, very upset when that's not the case. Lastly, I'll talk about culture. My top 3 takeaways that I've got before we kind of dive into questions, and I'll run on tangents forever. So when you got those questions, fire away. I see one in there. I'll get that one in a second. An educated team is an engaged team. Studies show that only 30% of team members are engaged. And so this is, like I said, this is from top to bottom. This is C-suite. This is managers. This is account managers, production managers, frontline personnel. 30%. You look in our leadership team meetings, or you look in our all hands meetings. We've got our level 10 meeting. There's 11 people in that meeting. So statistically, that means there's 3.5 people engaged. I can promise you I'm one. So now we're down to 2.5. And that statistic goes across to all industries, spanning all companies. They looked at one of the best performing companies that had over 70% engagement. They made, those recycling bins with 2 wheels on the back with the lid, you wheel it out to the curb, right? They did a study there, and they had over 80% engagement. You'd think it's because they found their work meaningful, but that's actually not the truth. The reason they found their work the reason they were engaged was because of those around them, not because of the work they did. There are times that we can oversimplify what we do. We just make tall grass short, we make weeds disappear, and we build a wall. But maybe we need to look at it differently. Maybe it's not about finding meaning in necessarily the work we do, but the work we do and who we do it with. The team that we have is family to me. Like a lot of you guys, I'm sure, this team is honestly my friends and my family too. I spend a hell of a lot of time with these people, and the people that I trust, people that are honestly the first to hear about life events. They've gotten to know my wife incredibly well, like people that I'm excited to see every single day. And my meeting now is not about how much money can I make, how much money can I put in my pocket. The meeting is about seeing them grow. We've got one of our team members that is going to be buying his second house since he started working here. Bought a house 5 years ago, very early on. Now he's buying a second one. And those are the things that make me selfishly proud of what we do. Culture is the only thing that will outlast you. I don't give a shit how good, sorry, Jeremiah, I'm probably not supposed to swear. No matter how great your systems are, a culture is the only thing that'll prevent them from crumbling. I don't care how streamlined, how, checkbox and step-by-step your systems are. It will not outlast a good culture. It will not outlast others holding each other accountable. If you don't have the people to really hone in on each other, to expect the best, you are going to struggle. Start making those small implementations daily of holding people accountable, of building that culture, building morale, to encourage you to have the ability to take a vacation, for you to step away for 2 to 3 weeks. I did that for the first time, and it was eye-opening. I thought we had an excellent culture and level of accountability. The worst month we've ever had. We lost $150,000 in 1 month. I'm not perfect. I got a long way to go. just like each of you guys, but these are the things that we're doing right now. The last thing, and this was something that kind of hurt my feelings, if I'm being honest, no good set of rules or handbook will beat out a moral compass. Do the right thing over and over. Do the right thing when nobody's watching. Don't cut corners on your clients or your team. For me, if I don't know the right thing to do, if it's, maternity leave, if it's somebody wanting to work from home, I'll pray about it. I'll talk to other people. I'll talk to friends. I'll talk, what does somebody do in their business, whether it's this industry or that industry, it doesn't really matter. But do the right thing over and over and over. Don't ever sleep on that. I'll use this example previously, but I think it really applies. And honestly, there's a little bit more irony now with the conversation Jeremiah and I had before this. But I started today talking to you all about culture, about doing something different, holding people accountable to those systems and processes, especially when nobody's looking. I told you we care about our team. They're my friends, they're my family. I told you I care about our properties because ultimately they're under our control. But one thing I didn't really touch on is maybe why. Why is Etch about caring? We've identified that it's the solution, it's not the problem. Adding emotion into the workplace is a positive thing. We've got people that'll raise their voices. We've got people that'll fight for our clients. They'll fight for a team. And it poses a question, does adding emotion actually help? And yes, it certainly does. And I use the example of this is a little plane. It's nothing fancy, but it's the same example of trying to fly like this. It just doesn't work. You're missing half of the instruments to make a good decision. So at the end of the day, I didn't build this. I organized a team of 44 hardworking people to make Etch what it actually is. I don't strap on the boots. I don't go put walls together. I try to get out and mow from time to time. But at the end of the day, we've got a team that does this. I continue to push the culture, but it's not me that ultimately does the work. So with that, that's what I've got on culture. I'm more than happy to dive into more specifics on implementing it in your specific business. Would love to have conversations because the questions that you're thinking of are almost always what somebody else is thinking of. So please, by all means, and the sun is brutal. Try to find a spot that I'm not sitting in the sun. Please, by all means, please ask those questions. I want to hear from you guys. How do you go about holding guys accountable but not get them in a bad attitude or lose a good employee for something that isn't a huge deal overall? Just tell them that. Tell them that, hey, this isn't the end of the world. But again, it's about starting. Trying to think of it. Daniel, do you have an example? I think it's Daniel. Yeah, do you have an example? Hate to seem negative. That is easy to do if you get on every guy about every little inefficiency or accident. I agree. Yeah, you can provide more. Being a few minutes late, breaking a tool. If somebody breaks a tool here and it's just a normal, under normal circumstances, I don't get mad at them. Shit happens. So being a few minutes late, I call them out. I tell them, hey, Daniel, it's important that you're here on time. Because if you're not here on time, that prevents us from leaving on time, from getting back on time. And that prevents Joe from getting home to his family on time. So look at Joe and tell him, hey, I'm sorry that I'm taking time away from your family now. It holds them accountable. It lets them see the gravity of their decisions. Backing into a car twice in a year for not having someone spot you backing up with a trailer or rushing out of a job when on salary. So we had a couple guys on salary in the past, and we're actually getting away from it for that reason, to encourage, productive overtime, actually. Somebody backed into a car twice. It is, yeah, that's a little bit more serious. Once, okay, we have a conversation about having a spotter. Second time, there's discipline. I taking away driving privileges and a relevant pay deduction for 60 days. I don't see that as out of hand. It is important to be safe. We've got a safety
Let
counter.
me interrupt you.
Yeah.
Doug. You have to look and give your input on this. You have to always look back at yourself. Were they properly trained? Right.
Correct.
They're properly trained on backing up and spotter and all. And that not in this case in Daniel and not in your case specific. I'm just saying as a whole, that's what people got to think at. You're going to start taking people's pay away. Did you train them properly?
I 100% agree with you. It's again looking internal first. So we've got our safety incident counter up here. Something that if you're injured, we reset it. And so we had to reset it a couple weeks ago, and everybody comments on that. Everybody comments when it gets reset. And it was a box cutter injury. But again, we had a good conversation about it. Josh Sutton will be buried in his hat and beard. That's funny. How do you handle language barriers and labor shortages? We find that we can't afford the best of the best when growing and turnover is high due to seasonality here in Canada. Larger companies with higher budgets can offer better compensation. Joe, you got to charge what you got to charge. You guys just had a great conversation with the folks from LMN that I caught about half of. Charge for it. If you're unable to hire better people, you have to charge more. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Our compensation package is high. We've got people here earning over $100,000 a year. We've got crew leads, 50, 60. I don't know if anybody's in the 70s, but we've got people making a lot of money here, and that's okay because I know they're going to stay. The relevant cost of paying somebody more versus training somebody new, I think you'd be surprised at how much you're losing by having turnover. And instead, it's worth taking that money that you're instead losing, that you're taking the cost and applying that to the person that you're paying who's currently there and better trained. So I would tell you to look at the economics behind that. Language barriers. One of the things that I'm learning right now is I'm teaching myself Spanish. It's not fair of me to expect somebody to come here and not feel comfortable. It's not fair of me to have somebody come here and expect them to know how to communicate with me. I need to go where they are. If you can communicate Spanish, you become a far higher ranking place on the totem pole for somebody who does speak Spanish. Certainly something that I would encourage. App I use is Duolingo. It's free. It's been great. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but looking at hiring a tutor actually it's probably $25 an hour, but go meet in a coffee shop and talk Spanish for an hour. That's how I'm going to learn. But I think that's super important stuff to be able to do better. What did you do to find your first guys? Where did you look to even get people to interview? How'd you vet them? So with our business, hired people my age, hired friends that are actually, a couple of them are still here to this day. One of them is running all of our construction, and he's actually the guy that's buying the second house, and so super excited for him. But I looked for people that I knew were good people. If you look here, like this guy in the tan, played baseball with him growing up for probably 8 years. This guy on the right played hockey with him growing up from the time that I was like 6 years old all the way through what would have been sophomore year of college. Neither of us were going to college, and said we were playing junior hockey. It's actually the last fight that I ever got in was with him. So it's funny how you become brothers through it, but find people that you already know. Find people that you already know that are good people. The other thing is I no longer look for exclusively people in our industry. I look for good people. That could be in construction. That could be, in these two guys' case, both of them were other industries, but they were ultimately great humans and great communicators, and in the roles that they are, that's imperative to be successful. And Sam, great name. If you how'd I vet them? Just interview process. Our standard interview process now for somebody in a support staff role is 2 to 3 interviews. It's not a quick hiring process anymore. It used to be with our field staff. Usually 2 interviews. Sometimes we're moving to 1 if they're a truly excellent candidate that we don't want to let go elsewhere. But we try to do 2. How do you deal with an employee who thinks he's the boss and better than everyone after already having a sit down conversation with him? Logan, that's what I would call cancer. If he, like we had this happen when we had foremen, we no longer call our crew leaders foremen because foremen don't like to work. Foremen like to sit around and point fingers and direct traffic. And so, unfortunately, if he is unwilling to change after explaining to him the why behind it, and why that's important, that's what I would call a cancer. And that's just flat out, unfortunately, somebody that no matter how much you like him, somebody that you got to get rid of. How badass do you feel when you fly your airplane places? Thank you. It was one of those life things that I always just wanted to do. And it's honestly, it's a time machine. We are opening a second branch next year. And so again, that span of control, I wanted a way to be able to move a little bit faster. And so helps with that. Could you describe your thinking behind investing in your airplane? It is personally owned. It is not a business asset. It's in a business, but it's not in Etch Outdoor. It's in a separate one. And so as I use it for business, it's just leased hourly over to the business in order to get that tax write-off, basically. What are some things I should really focus on with getting my first employee? How do I develop culture with less failures? You're going to have failures. We celebrate failure here. What I don't celebrate is somebody not trying. Have unfriendly conversations, unfortunately, with people that want me to do all the work for them. And I have to politely tell them, hey, that's not my monkey. That's not my thing to do. I have our team get 95% of the way done and send it to me, and then I'll review it with them. And if that's, somebody who, whether it's a weekend or if I'm at home for whatever reason, I'll do it's called Screenify, but also use just Google Meet, and I'll screen record my thought process and what I'm editing and changing as I go through and make those little changes for a support staff. For a field staff, how do you develop culture? Doing the right thing every single time. If you're on a mow truck, it's not the trimming's not that bad, we're going to skip it today. Or we don't really need to edge this lawn today, it looks good from last week. Do the right thing every single time, because they are watching and those are the habits that they're going to pick up. So do not let off those. Do not take a step back. Do not take your foot off the gas. You have to do the right thing every single time, or they are going to think it's okay to just trim every other week or to edge every other week. Or, we've got 4 inches of base over here on this patio. That's probably good enough. It's not. You need 6 inches. This is the way we do it. There are no exceptions to these rules. I see a recent post about not tracking employee vehicles anymore. My main CEO is concerned about 15-minute additional lunch breaks currently and tracking every single stop they take. Where do you draw the line between accountability and tracking? Great question, Jessica. Good to see you. I don't look at the GPS. I don't frankly care. I look at budgeted hours versus actual hours. Why would I micromanage them? If they can't lead themselves, then it doesn't work. So everybody on our team, 30-minute lunch break. If they take longer than that, it's classified as drive time. In our software, drive time is included in budgeted hours. So at the end of the day, they need to be, you've got, just use simple math here, they've got 8 budgeted hours for the day. If they took an extra 15 minutes, then they've got only 7:45 to get this list done now because they wasted 15 minutes. I am very outcome-based management. So I want results. I want lemonade. I don't give a shit how many lemons you got to squeeze. This is what I need. We've moved to divisional budgets. And so each of our division managers has a budget that they have to hold themselves to. So there's a certain amount of net profit that they are expected to produce every single month. I don't care if they spent an extra $2,000 on new shovels for their crew this month. Doesn't matter. If they have the net profit there, it does not matter. I don't care how they get there. If they have a repair and maintenance bill that, a truck needs tires, but it's the 21st of the month and they can wait, they aren't going to use that truck until next month because that's going to be how they get their net profit figure for the month. Great. I give our team the flexibility to make the decisions as owners of separate things, whether that's an owner of a crew, an owner of a division, an owner of sales. I give our team that responsibility and that accountability. So again, it's also just too much data. There's a lot of data points in GPS. It takes a lot of brain power to be able to use it. I don't care enough, if I'm being honest. I just want the juice. I want budget on, or I want hours on budget. That's it. Lunch doesn't really matter to me. If they're able to get it done, I'd pay them for lunch. We also, to take this a step further, we use a software called Protiv. And so if they come in under budgeted hours, if they take 7 hours instead of 8 hours, they get paid for 7.8 hours. We return 80% of unused hours to our team. We gain that 20%. That's great. But the real thing is, as they get more and more efficient, they're going to be able to do more work in a given day. And so there's a tangible benefit to them to do that. Great response to labor cost question. You have to charge for it. Yes. Jeremiah also starting Spanish. Yeah, so we don't use H2B at all. And one of the big reasons, great friend of mine, is I would say about half to 25% of his workforce is H2B. And he got group E this year, which is the worst group. So he can't get his labor is either coming from Guatemala or El Salvador. Whereas he has, in the past, all of his guys are from Mexico. And so now there's 2 different cultures, and that can become very, very stressful. He also doesn't get them until probably, I don't know, May, June, July timeframe. He's missing out on the entire spring growing season. And so I don't want to gamble with the government. I've seen enough in my 26 years that the government is the last person that I want to have any impact on my life. And so we don't have any H2Bs. We've looked at it, we considered it, and ultimately I pulled the plug on it. It just wasn't something that I wanted to participate in our business. What's the time frame look like for 2 interviews for a field labor employee? 2 days. No, not so. Yes, second 1 week after the first. Nope, got to be quick. Good people are not on the job market for very long, especially field staff. They're more sensitive to time without pay. Most of our field staff live either close to or live paycheck to paycheck. So that's one of the things we're trying to teach is money management here. But somebody that isn't kind of accustomed to your culture, they're gonna not want to wait very long to get that paycheck again. So got to be snappy on those. Having those 2 back to back is pretty important. Follow-up question. Same with the office staff and shop team when they aren't necessarily on a budgeted job. I don't micromanage anybody. I've got enough going on that it's just not something that I care to do. I'm going to see it in their performance, whether it's in their sales metrics or if we're getting a backlog on repairs, or the phone is not getting answered. There's other ways to measure performance than GPS. And I think that's frankly one of the worst ways. That would be, trying to think of a good example. That's kind of like a punching the clock mentality. We have high performers here, and it doesn't take much to see if they're a high performer or not. We just don't measure things like that. That's just in my opinion, an inefficient way to do it. So what else? I think we're
Good.
Getting a little bit close on time here.
Yeah, Sam said, I'm not gonna be able to fill up my time. Dude, that was awesome. I know you brought a ton of value. Got to get there a lot of questions as well, which is awesome. Do you want to drop where can people keep up? There you go. You already knew what was coming. So
yeah, reach out. I'm active on both. They're both on my phone. So reckless driving in company vehicles, we have a 0 tolerance policy for that. If somebody's going to drive recklessly in our vehicles, we're going to have a very serious conversation, and then their GPS is getting watched. We're going to see alerts. So yeah, if anybody has follow-up questions or wants to talk privately or take a look at their business, just reach out to me on social media. Be happy to talk. You might not like what I have to say, but I'll be honest with you or something.
I love it, dude. No, I love it. The moral compass is huge. Follow your morals, stick to that. And I think I know you'll see benefit in the end. So Sam, I appreciate it, buddy.
You as well, man.
We are right up against Jason's time here. And so I don't want to cut into Jason too much, but I appreciate everything you did. Guys, give Sam a round of applause. Let him know, say thank you in the chats. Thanks for having him. And because I know he could be, like I said, be in a lot of different places, doing a lot of different things right now. So I appreciate his time with us.
Be good.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks for tuning in to the Growing Green podcast. It is an honor to have you listening, and we hope you receive valuable advice to help take your business to the next level. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.